Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Azel Ryan here. This is going to be the second episode of an easy conversation. Today's topic will be kind of a similar to episode one. It's a general introduction of another person on within our kind of close knit group of friends, Insomnia's Clava, which we will also talk more about. I'm joined today by Ben, who goes by Zale. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, hi, I'm Ben, or as Blake said, I go by Zale on Twitch, Zale1521. I am just a small little streamer, just starting out. Just trying to have some fun, make some new friends, play games that I've never played before. Um, I'm based out here in Southern California, so weather's pretty nice. Not bad right now. um,
Good, good. Oh yeah,
um, oh,
I'm totally gonna interrupt you and say Happy Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving
oh
as we're
yeah,
recording this, so I don't know why it came to mind, but you said how it's a beautiful day out, and then I'm like, what day is it actually? And duh, of
it's
course.
great day for an interview.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna start getting food cooked probably after we're done. Well, we have another phone call coming up, but after that, I'm gonna be making some food. We have a little ham get going and some Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes and stuffing and stuff.
That's
Just for the two of us. So
that sounds really good. We're doing
yeah,
Justice and I, my girlfriend, for those of you who don't know, we're doing turkey, mac and cheese, and stuffing and roasted potatoes. And then
heck.
obviously you gotta have like pumpkin pie at the end. So
Oh fuck
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's gonna be good. I'm sorry, I totally cut you off. It's just like
Oh no, it's fine.
a somewhat valid reason. Okay, you were saying you're in Southern California.
Southern California. There's not much to say. I won't share like where I work right now,
Sure.
just because it's a little bit more sensitive.
Oh yeah, sure.
I will say that I work. My day job is like a I work with large quantities of people on a daily basis when my job is open.
Wow.
So I deal with a lot of customer service related stuff.
Okay.
To put it without giving away where I work.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that could be literally anything. There's customer service
exactly.
everywhere.
So
Yeah.
I get the I will say my one hint to where I work is I the one question I get asked the most is where's the bathroom, and that's I'll leave it at
Where
that.
is the bathroom? And you're a public servant. Interesting. Yeah, I actually so for those of you who don't know, Nick, who was featured in episode one, he is one of my best friends in a long time, and I was introduced to Ben through Nick, and so I don't actually know Ben as quite as well, though we still talk and we're still friends. But so I don't know these intricate details, so it'll be kind of interesting to pry some info without some background knowledge, because episode one I had that advantage. So anyway, okay, so what do you go by on Twitch completely? So it's Zale what?
Zale1521.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you want to talk about what those numbers mean, or is it just a
I
filler, or?
yeah, it's not they're not nothing too special. It comes from my very first email address as a kid. It was on this website's gonna sound terrible, like with today's climate and everything. It was called KiddoNet,
KiddoNet?
and my first email address was ben1521 at
Okay.
kiddo.net, and that sounds so bad. Um,
I've never heard of Kiddo.
oh, me neither. I mean, not me neither, but nobody's heard of it.
Sure,
Is
sure.
what I'm trying to say. It was like a website back when websites would first start coming out, and you could really start accessing them as a kid. And it's just one of those basic little emails that you could set up, and you and your friends could, as long as you were on KiddoNet, you could send each other emails. And it was literally just me and one other person,
Uh,
my buddy Tyler at the time. Was it Tyler? Yeah, I think it was Tyler.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, the my personal earliest memory of email was AOL.
oh yeah,
Getting like a AOL like disk and having to install um access to basically dial-up internet service where you had to listen to the, crazy static, which I will not
oh
try to
yeah.
emulate, but
I
um
don't need those memories.
but it was on a PC that like barely worked, and when you finally connected, it was very slow. But I do remember having, or at least my mom did. She had an email, so that's my earliest memory of it. So it's probably something that's like possibly even older than AOL. I wouldn't even be surprised to hear that.
I wouldn't say it was about the same time. How old was I? I want to say it was like maybe 10, 9 or 10 at the time. That was reference. I'm 30 now, so that was 1999, maybe
Oh yeah, see,
early 2000s. So
okay, okay, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, you have a couple years on me. Well,
oh,
yeah. I mean, I can just. You already said I'm 26, so you're 4 years older than I. But
okay.
yeah, it's all good. So, okay, cool. Well, in episode one when I talked with Nick, I kind of answered these questions as well as him, and it kind of made the episode a little bit longer because it was kind of like a two for one. I was going and he
Oh
was
yeah.
going. Uh, and I'll still like give my commentary, but overall, this is going to be a little bit more about you, really. So I might not give as much detail since I already said my answer, but like I said, I'll try to give some commentary. But
And
okay,
I'm
so
pretty open about most stuff about my life. There's a couple things I probably won't talk about, but I'm super open about most questions.
yeah,
So
well, I mean, it's gonna be kind of general, and then some opinions. The overall topic being kind of like who you are as a content creator and like I don't know, as a gamer, I
yeah,
guess. Really, nothing too personal. Um, unless you want to talk about anything else, which by all means bring it up as we go. So, the
comes
first,
up, comes up.
yeah, the first thing that I have noted down is well, I guess the first thing was your intro. The second thing I have noted down is what are your current main goals for content. So we're all new for the most part. So like when you think of content creation and community and these other buzzwords, what does it mean to you, and how do you play into it?
I mean, I guess my main goals for content, for lack of better words, there would be like I like to play games that I haven't played before, and I want to be able to share my reactions and experiences when it comes to experiencing these new stories. But at the same time, I also want to share games that I have loved over the years, like but maybe with a twist. Some games I can't really replay again because I've played them so many times and I don't want anybody to miss out on a story because I am just skipping through things because I've already done it. Um, because I know myself. I know that that's what I will do is I will accidentally start skipping through dialogue, especially if somebody's watching it for the first time. I don't want to give them a bad experience with that game. Um, but yeah, I want to play stuff that I've never played before. Games that I've loved with a twist. Like I would love to start playing some Ocarina of Time uh, modification games. What's it called? Ocarina of Time randomizers. Um, Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games, and I would love to um, do a run of that. Which is, if you don't know what a randomizer is, anybody that's watching doesn't know what that is. It's a version of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time that randomizes all of the items and locations. Really, you can set it up to randomize whatever you want in the game and still make it playable. So you'll start out the game normally, you'll open like your first chest, and oh my god, it's the Master Sword all of a sudden. Lucky you. Or it could be a Deku stick, and you don't end up getting the first sword for like the first 3 hours of the game. So it's stuff like that in the games that I love that I would like to start doing too. Um,
The kind
but on
of
top of that, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say like another really easy example of that would be like Pokemon Nuzlocke, where
Oh yeah,
the Pokemon are completely randomly generated, and you can have legendaries, as your starter, for
oh
example.
yeah. I know Nick and I have talked about we talked about doing a group Nuzlocke run
That
where
would,
we'd all stream it, and I think that would be super awesome.
you guys should write that down on the to-do list because that would be
I should
because that would
actually
be that would be really fun to do for sure.
I'm turning my list of questions into also a list of stuff to
A-
do
action,
as we think about
action.
it.
Yeah, we at work say actionable items, things that you're in a meeting, you say you're gonna do something, okay, actually go do it now. uh, okay, cool. Um, Okay, cool. Well, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to kind of say or touch on that, kind of you would like to bring to the table in regards to um, the community, I guess?
I mean, I would love to do more stuff that involves more of the community. Actually getting people in and playing games together. I know I've mentioned it on the Discord a bit. That once.
Sure.
I would really love to start getting nights set aside that are just for the streamers. That we do a set game or games, and we just have fun with stupid stuff. And then stuff like we play like Among Us with the community or something like that. Um, and I would love to do more things like that where we get more people involved.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Things like Among Us is great. I mean, Minecraft is a thing that might be reasonable
mhm.
to do something like that. And
I
then
think if
you've
you also go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay, it's okay. The one that you've been playing recently, Seven Ways to Die, I think it's called.
Oh, dude,
I
that
don't
one's really fun.
I don't know what the player count looks like, so I haven't played it, but I watched you briefly and it looks relatively interesting, so
We can play with up to like 16 people on that server,
yeah,
and we can basically add people in whenever we want. And it's just you just go for as long as you can. Really, it's every 7 days you start getting attacked by a horde of zombies that just swarms at you.
gotcha, gotcha.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It looks fun to me, so far. Um it's basically like it's kinda like a Minecraft in a way, huh? Where
very similar where you can dig out the environment to how to fit your needs.
and you build the
There's a lot
environment
more.
as well.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to crafting and whatnot. The crafting system's a little more involved, but no, it's great. I'm liking it a lot. It doesn't replace classical Minecraft because just I that's just one of my
Yeah,
straight up favorites.
I
But
think Minecraft will continue to basically be a mainstay in gaming culture basically forever. It's so unique of
oh
a
yeah,
game. It kind of turned on a lot of ideas for others. So
oh yeah.
okay, so earlier you mentioned in the Discord, and I keep using this buzzword community. So perhaps we should talk about we I Nick and I talked very briefly about it. So and I think you had a slightly stronger hand in like creating it. I could be wrong. I think it's either you or Matt, but uh
Matt's the one who got it started. I'm just kind of like one of the mods that's in there now,
okay. So
but
could you
because I think me.
could
Oh,
you
go
go
ahead.
ahead and explain what it is, what it's about for those who don't know?
So, our Discord or our community in general, Insomnis Clava, it's which is Latin for Insomnia Club. For those who are curious, I'll go into that a little bit more later. But, it's a community for mostly we wanted a place for all of our friends to come together, all of our gamer friends that stream to come together, to share what we're doing. Not just streaming wise, but we've also got sections for just different creation. Like I know there's a creations tab under the community tab for anybody that's got stuff that they're doing. Um, but it's a place for streamers and any of our fans or any of our other friends to come together to play together, to talk together, to just to have a good time and kind of escape. I'd say. I know a lot of us suffer from insomnia. That's the name. We're up very late, so um, it's just a good place for those of us who are up that late to come together and talk. I'd
Sh-
say.
Sure. Uh,
I'm
but
also not the best with words, so what I want to get out is not coming out the way I want sometimes.
I
So
mean, it seems
bear with me.
they seem
I
like
might repeat.
they seem like coherent thoughts, so it seems fine
Okay,
on my
cool.
side. I will say that if you are listening to this and you're at all turned off by the idea of a Discord with people that are only on at night, I am not on as late as them. So if you remotely like me, you can be on at daytime, and I'll be around possibly.
I
So
should say the same thing. I'm more on the daytime side myself. My typical streams are around 2 o'clock or so. So
yeah, a lot of the folks for sure are up late though. And even before COVID-19 kind of hit around,
mhm.
they tend to have like the night shifts when working. Or if they are still working, they're still doing night shifts.
Yeah.
It's just that their sleep schedule is set up to be kind of up late. So anyway, whatever. In general, a good, nice little gaming community full of friends.
Oh yeah.
So cool. Um, Okay. Sounds good. Well, let's I guess move on to the next topic that I have listed up. Unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on right now. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes you have a train of thought that you like to continue on, so
Oh, it's all good. It's there, and then
fizzle.
that train will just keep on going. So it's fine.
Uh,
I like to go with it. So
okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay. Well, oh, geez. Okay. The next topic I have written down is what game or expansion are you most looking forward to and why?
oh
Um,
man.
when I talked to Nick, his answer was Destiny 2 related, and probably for good reason. It's his like most played game,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's lots of games that are coming up that are really fun. So I'm kind of curious, what's your take on this?
I mean, I've got there's a lot of games. There's so many games coming out that I really want to play. There's some games that are already out that just came out in the last few days that I really want to play.
Sure.
Um,
So like,
Destiny 2 was definitely. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with the current expansion. I'm excited to see where it's going. It's not like what I'm super stoked for, just because I feel like definitely near the beginning of the pandemic, I played that a lot with Jackie, our other friend Jackie. Um, for you'll all meet him later. um,
correct?
but we played that for like months, and I think I burnt myself out on a little bit. So that's why I'm not like super gung ho into the new expansion just yet. I'll get back into it probably once things start rolling some more. But I watched some of that next podcast, and I do kind of agree with him on some of that Destiny stuff. It's like I liked the story, but it was expanded out way too much. It was a simple story that was just expanded for time wasting sake. So that's just my opinion on that. Anyway, games that I like though, or that I'm excited for. I say the one that I'm looking forward to the most at the moment is probably Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah. That's co-
I've purposely not looked up a whole lot on the game. I've looked up enough to see that it's something I'm definitely going to want to play. I like the aesthetic. Um, I love Keanu Reeves, so I mean that's a factor in that.
Do you know much about the developers of the game?
Oh yes, CD Project Red.
Hmm.
Um, The Witcher. I love The Witcher 3, and if if they can capture that same kind of feeling I had with that game, I feel like it's gonna be a good game because The Witcher 3 is just such a it's like you're playing a movie sort of, but not quite like the Uncharted series like you're playing a movie. There's so many different stories going on that don't have anything to do with the main story, which is great. They're almost like my friend Cromer puts it really well, is that they're like little mini soap operas in a way, or little mini actual mini main quests as you're going through the world. And I really enjoyed that. So if they can do the same kind of thing in Cyberpunk in that kind of setting, I think that's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I am also looking forward to the game for sure. I have not played The Witcher 3, however, I have played The Witcher, the first game, and with my logic being I should play through the first and then the second and then the third. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, the Witcher, the first Witcher, it has not aged very well. It's kind of hard to play for me. So that's not to say that The Witcher 3 is not good. I'm sure it's a setup in a way that you can just jump in, but um, that was just kind of my logic behind it. And then once that hit, other games kind of took precedence at the time. So or work or whatever, your
And
time gets used up. But
with The Witcher, you don't have to really start with one or two. Really, I started with three, and I was just fine. I looked up a little bit of back info, and I was good to go.
sure,
And I felt the same way about the first Witcher in that it did not age well. I couldn't really get into it.
yeah.
The second one, I probably could if I gave it more of a chance. But it also has that feeling of it's a little aged now. So
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, those games were also made in a time where you cranked out games pretty damn quick, and patches and bug fixes and these types of things were not very prominent, I guess. They kind of just made it, released it, go do it again, and reuse of engines and today's day and age, games are still pumped out really fast by some companies with really reusing assets everywhere. However, other games such as The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, they're doing their due diligence the whole way through. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a little easier probably for a new player to kind of come in, which is nice.
Um.
Okay, so
Uh,
what
yeah.
what else about or what other games other than that?
Besides Cyberpunk, I mean, I'm waiting for these are games that like they don't really have a full release date, or I think they do. I just need to look into them again, but I'm waiting for the next part of Final Fantasy VII or the remake.
Okay.
That I know that's part of another question actually coming up, but Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games of all time, one of them, and I've been looking forward to the remake for a long time. And one of the things that's upset me the most is how they've split it up into parts, which I equally don't do and do not understand. Um, I get why they want to do it. I get where they're coming from the monetary aspect because everybody wants to split up properties these days. If you take a look at Harry Potter and the Deathly Hollows parts 1 and 2, and then you take a look at everybody else doing the exact same thing after that, it's my first instinct, it's just a cash grab. At the same time, with Final Fantasy 7, it's such a the story I don't know how to describe this. There's so much going on in the story that it does deserve multiple parts. It deserves a larger game, but at the same time, splintering it off and making people wait for longer periods of time for that, rather than spending more time on just one solid game, you're going to lose people in the process. In my feeling, and you're going to lose some money in that respect too. I feel like, but I could be wrong. I don't deal with money and all that stuff, and I'm not a game developer.
Sure.
I'm there's some stuff that I totally don't understand about the process when it comes to that stuff. All I know is I really want the second part, and I'm still a little frustrated with certain things in the first part, but I also like what they've done. So I have mixed feelings on this, but it's one of the games I'm looking forward to the most is part 2 for this new series.
Do we know if it's going to be everything? Basically just two parts total, or do you suppose there might be a third?
I from I check the news articles and stuff here and there like once a week just to see what's going on with it, and um, the rumors I've seen are it could have anywhere from this could be the last part because it wasn't as much of a financial success as they were hoping, and they might shove it all into the second part and make it a long game, or it might be anywhere between 3 to 5 parts.
Wow,
So
that's quite the wishful thinking. Oh
that's
man.
just like I have no idea what to expect with this now because they're not even saying anything. They're more focused on Final Fantasy 16 right now, which is totally fine. I'm stoked for that too. I'm wish they would just focus on one game at a time, but I get it. I get it. I understand.
Is it this is Square Enix doing is it's Square Enix, right?
Yes,
they're doing both games at the same time, or is it someone else? Okay.
I
I
think they do outsource their stuff to other side companies. Like I know that remake was also done by I'm forgetting the name of the company now. It was done by another company, but then the reason it took so long to get out was because they had Square Enix took it back from that company because they messed it up so bad.
oh no.
So and they had to Square Enix basically just redid everything in house.
Dang. Yeah,
Um,
I'll be the first to admit. I have not been keeping up to date with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I know it came out on PS4, but I kind of assumed it was. I didn't realize it was part one. Essentially. So
yeah,
yeah, I didn't play it. I do, however, I do recall. I mean, the original Final Fantasy VII. I had it on PlayStation 1. That thing came on multiple discs. I don't remember
three
3 or 4. Yeah, it was a
three
lot.
discs. If you were on PC, it was 4 discs, one install disc, 3 play discs.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah.
back then it was, I mean, in a way, in parts, just based on the sheer size of the game for, at that time. So,
Oh yeah.
in a way, I could kind of see it today as well.
It is a little weird though because the first part, what they did was they only did the Midgar section of the game, which in the original game is not even like half of the first disc. So that's what worries everyone and
Yeah.
worries me a little bit about how splintered are you going to make this story with these different parts, or how much are you now going to shove into this second part? Which honestly, you could shove the rest of it into one game. They did it in the first one. It just won't be as technologically awesome as you want it to be, probably. But
Right,
I
because
mean, it
because
is whatever. Go ahead.
I was just gonna
Sorry.
say, because as a fan, you probably want like the entirety of seven, original seven, to kind of be represented in the remake.
Hmm.
But if you're barely touching the surface on part one and part two is possibly the last part,
Hmm.
does that mean you're skipping out? Probably.
And what they've been wanting to do is add in all of these extra bits from the whole chronology. I can't talk. All of the entries in the Final Fantasy seven series. They're trying to put connections to a lot of these different things that weren't in the original seven into this new game as well.
Hmm.
So they're trying to connect all the extra stuff that they've done over the years, which is and isn't working out for them. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, I'm hopeful too. I think I would enjoy playing the game eventually. It wasn't on my radar as something I need to play immediately, but I do still have interest. So
I know that's going to come out for PC, I believe, and Xbox that is going to get its release of it as well soon. So, I mean, that'll probably be a good chance. I might play through it again. I might stream it just to do a fresh playthrough of it.
yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll see. I
Yeah,
think it'll be fun.
cool. Okay, so you say Final Fantasy, Cyberpunk 2077. Anything
Um,
else on your radar?
I mean, they just announced the new world. I don't know if you ever played The World Ends with You on DS or on Switch. It's another Square Enix game. I'm a big Square Enix fanboy, apparently.
Okay.
um, but it's a very funky game. It's an RPG. You play as a boy named Neku in Japan, and you wake up in the middle of the Scramble Crossing in what's the district in Tokyo?
Uh, oh, okay.
Outside.
I just looked it up. I was trying to
Okay,
remember because I vaguely remember hearing the title, but I'm like
Shibuya.
I don't recall exactly what it. Isn't it like a music? Isn't it kind of related to music in some way?
There's a lot of like music that was for the game, that was recorded specifically for the game, and it's really good. The music's really good in this game. It's a lot of it is music based, not necessarily like you don't have to tap out like rhythms or anything per se, but the music is a big factor in the game.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I vaguely
Um,
remember seeing something like that, possibly on a Nintendo Direct at some point. Um,
it's a really good game. I highly recommend checking it out on the DS if you have the chance, just because the Switch version it doesn't play the same way. Um, the 3DS version, you play with both screens during battles, and your top screen is your main character, and the bottom screen is your partner. And top screen, you're doing battles like you normally would, but you're on the bottom screen, you're also battling as the second character at the same time, doing special actions and whatnot.
oh, geez,
So
is
you
that?
have to like
I was
go ahead.
gonna ask, is that like a hard thing to balance? I mean,
It
what?
takes it takes a moment to get used to it, but once you get the patterns down and you see how to move the character on the bottom screen with touch motions and stuff, it's really easy to two-handed. One hand's doing the character on the top, the other hand's doing the character on the bottom. So it's really interesting how it all works out. Um,
So what does the Switch do? Is it just a poor like port, or is it just
it's you've only got one screen to work with.
right? That makes
And
sense.
your partner, you're not really controlling your partner, and you're only controlling yourself, and just the controls didn't quite translate over well to Switch for some strange reason.
Hmm.
I've only tried it out a little bit, and I just was not happy with it. So I've just stuck with the 3DS game whenever I want to play. Although I really want to force my way through the Switch game because they added like a definitive edition, so they added in like a whole new chapter to the story afterwards. So I might just have to power through this Switch version and just do it.
Fair
But they're
enough.
also, I was really excited to find out that for so they're doing a sequel to this game, and they are also doing an anime for the first game,
Oh,
which is going to come out like in the summer. So I'm really stoked about both those things.
that'll build up some hype, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, so it's a great game. It's about you're a young boy named Neku. He wakes up in the scramble pot crossing in Shibuya, Tokyo. That's Tokyo, right? Shibuya's in Tokyo. Am I right?
I have no
I don't
idea.
want to be that insensitive jerk. Anyway, um, he wakes up in the scramble crossing and notices that nobody can see him, nobody can touch him, nobody can hear him. Um,
He's ethereal.
more, he more or less finds out he's dead, and he's playing. He's in a another plane of reality called the Underground, and he is now playing a game called the Reaper's Game. And this game, if you have died, you get to play this game. It's your chance at coming back to life if you win the game.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's his story going through and kind of dealing with his own personal demons and learning how to make connections through the people that he meets and whatnot. So it's a really good story. It's a really good game. Really good music. I highly recommend checking it out if you have the chance. And I'm really stoked for the sequel. Know nothing about the sequel. I just saw the short little trailer, and that's all they've really shown so far. But it looks awesome. I'm super stoked.
Cool. I'm excited for you. I mean, it personally doesn't sound super duper. I mean, I like the whole like playing a game in the underground, trying to get back. I always enjoyed that, like how do you put it, like paranormal like
Hmm.
theme that sometimes games and show media in general can put on things. I've always enjoyed that take. So maybe I would enjoy playing, or at least considering looking into that. Um, but like when I watched it originally on the Nintendo Direct, I was like, another like rhythm game. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they didn't do a good job at advertising it, unfortunately.
that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
um, I'd say like one other game, like the last game that I'm looking forward to, besides World Ends with You, is just okay. Another Square Enix game. It's Bravely Default 2 because I loved the first one,
Hmm.
Bravely Default. I don't know if you ever played that one.
I did actually briefly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's I played that one all the way through, and it's a trip once you get near the ending. It's like, what am I playing now?
Yeah, you're bringing back some memories for Nintendo DS games for me. Gosh, there was this one game that I played that I really enjoyed. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. You keep talking. Let me try to find it.
Oh no, you're good, man. No, you're fine. All I was gonna say is just Bravely Default 2. I have this Bravely Second, which was the sequel to the very first Bravely Default,
Oh.
and I haven't played it all the way through yet, but it was fun. It's fun. But Bravely Default 2, it just I don't know what else to say about it. It just looks so great. The our art style is so different compared to some other stuff. Some other stuff that's out right now. I guess you can compare it to like I think it's made by the same team that did Octopath Traveler. If anybody's played that on Switch, which
Hmm.
I still need to play that one. Um, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just such a good story. It's kind of like a Crystal Chronicles like spiritual successor almost, I think, from what I've been told. I could be wrong. It's got some of the same themes and whatnot.
Okay. Sorry. I was kind of distracted trying to find the
Oh,
game I
you're
was talking
fine.
about.
You're fine.
So, did you ever play a game for Nintendo DS called Magical Star Sign?
Magical Star Sign. No, I don't think so.
Oh my God, that was like one of my favorite games growing up, on the DS at least. Totally forgot about it, but you triggered a memory. Um, it's a great RPG. It tells a really good story of these they're essentially students at a college, and some like bigger threat exposes itself, and then you have these like battles. They almost feel like Pokemon battles in a way. I
Mhm.
mean, not really, but regardless, you have like the opponents on one side and you have yourself on one side, and you issue your command, but you can like tap on the screen at certain times of the animation of your attack to enhance it. And you're either a dark hero or a light hero, and then you collect your like friends, and they all have the generic like I'm an earth, like I do earth magic, and then this one does like air magic and whatever, and you like explore these different planets trying to essentially like find the cause of the trouble. And I don't really remember the finer details of the overarching story later in the game, but I just remember playing through the beginning a lot, and that was such a good game. Anyway,
That sounds like a fun one.
y-
I'm just put on my list DS emulator because I want to start like playing some of these older games that I haven't
you should
played in
on your
years now.
list of to do games. I'll watch you on Twitch if you play Magical Star Sign. At least just try it. It's such a good game. Um,
I mean, I like trying stuff that I've never played before, so I think that'd be good.
I kind of
Good stuff.
I kind of want to revisit it. Not gonna lie, I looked it up on GameStop, and you can get it like the hard copy for like $3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
that's cool. Okay, um, yeah. So I mean, still on this same point for quite a while, which is totally fine.
Oh,
Anything
it's all good. We can.
is anything else sound
Ooh.
while we're here? Is there anything else that you really are like looking forward to? I guess.
I mean, there's just so many that like my brain's like not wanting to keep up right now. I mean, I can just list things off. Like, I know it just came out. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. I loved the first Hyrule Warriors. It was a fun just beat 'em up, hack and slash, just running through everyone
Sure.
and just making enemies go flying as my favorite Zelda characters. It's great. And I want to do this one because I played Breath of the Wild. It's now one of my favorite games too, and this is a prequel to that. So it's kind of cool seeing that story unfold because don't really get to see a lot of it.
Speaking of Breath
Um,
of the Wild, aren't we getting a
mm,
second Breath of the Wild, like an
we
actual second adventure game?
are
Yeah,
we are, but we have no release date or any information on it besides that one trailer they released at like E3 last
like
2 years ago, 2018.
2018, I think. Yeah, I I
Yeah.
I remember that. That's you saying Hyrule Warriors for Breath of the Wild made me think of that game, and that's one I'm looking forward to because you're
Oh,
right.
same.
Breath of the Wild was great. That was there. There were certain things about the game I wasn't a huge fan of, such as like the weapons breaking down. Um, I think that's a common complaint. You get used to it though. You know, you use the best weapon you kind of have at the moment because you have to have the mentality that hey, in like 20 minutes I'm gonna find an even better weapon anyway to replace it. And
And
then
like that part of it didn't never really bothered me for some reason. Like I know it bothered a lot of people, and it did bother me at certain points because I would lose like a certain weapon, but I knew what to look out for, like how many hits kind of exactly I was going to need to take for a weapon and stuff. So it never really bothered me because I was always finding something else to hit people
yeah, sure.
with. So
I don't remember ever being in a position where I didn't have a weapon available to me. Sometimes you might run out of the good ones, but you could like still
yeah.
make do. Um, the other complaint that I thought the beasts being the like essentially dungeons of the game, I think the beasts were really cool.
Hmm.
I wish there were either more beasts or actual like deep dive dungeons. I know they had the shrine like what do you call them? I know they're called shrines, but
Yeah.
they're just little challenges really. They're not
Mini
that
dungeons.
yeah, they're like mini dungeons. That's a good way to put it. Sometimes they're not even big enough to be called a mini dungeon in my opinion.
Yeah.
But having a few like big dungeons would have been really cool too. So I
Did
don't
you
know.
play the DLC for the game?
I have not. No, I played it. I played and beat through it just once, and it was before DLC was available. But I heard the DLC was good. I just don't know about it.
I recommend picking it up. Just because there's an actual dungeon at the end of that DLC. I like to call it the one real dungeon in Breath of the Wild. Um, and it's also got the best boss fight in the game.
Oh, really?
Um, I will say you will have to go back and fight the original four guardians again.
Hmm.
Sorry, spoilers. You'll have to do that again.
That's fine.
But the actual final boss for the DLC, oh,
I heard there's a.
it's worth it just for that. It's a good boss, and
Is
the
it just
reward is cool, but you can't really use it because after you've beaten the DLC, you've basically already beaten the game anyway. So
right? You probably get like the best weapon, and it's like, okay, what do I kill?
um,
Literally
I won't
nothing.
spoil it for you.
Sure, don't.
It's
Sure, don't. Go ahead and not. So
it's pretty cool.
what makes it the best boss? Is it like the fight mechanics, or do you think
It's
it's
the
just
fight mechanics and how they combine a lot of different fight mechanics that you've had throughout the game, but also incorporate some new ones that you haven't seen in the game at all. And it makes you wish that
there
this
was more of it?
enemy, there was more of this enemy or this enemy type. And it's really cool. The introduction to it, you at first you don't really expect to fight this boss, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, this is what I'm fighting. Okay, cool, this is great.
Uh,
And the music is really upbeat and fun for it. Not upbeat, that's not quite the right word, but it's fitting for the fight, and it's the best fight in the whole game.
sure.
That's what I'll leave it at. It also unlocks the ability to go back and do the other boss fights whenever you want to. So
Hmm.
um, there are two DLCs that I am talking about the second DLC that came out for it. The first DLC has the Trials of the Master Sword, which is fun. It's a good challenge. It's like a survival challenge for in Zelda. If you remember playing Eventide Island,
Yeah, I
um,
do. Yeah.
yeah, it's that, but a long challenge where you go through different rooms,
The
surviving with what you got.
the one thing there's only a couple things I remember about DLC. I remember seeing the DLC. I just didn't pick it up. One was
Hmm.
that what you're explaining, the challenge mode, but then also I remember there being like a motorcycle or something. Uh, so that's a thing, I guess. Um, okay, so there's
Yes,
actually
that's a thing.
there's
That's
a
what, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about too.
oh, is that the reward that you're talking about? The
Yeah, it
motorcycle?
is. It is. It
Uh,
is, and it's awesome because you can summon it wherever you want. But at that point in the game, you've kind of
been
beaten
everywhere,
everything.
yeah, or can teleport anywhere, yeah.
But although it helps if you're someone who hasn't gotten all the shrines yet, hasn't gotten all the Korok seeds yet, then it makes that getting that stuff a little bit easier. So
I don't know. Like a lot of things in games, it's probably ultimately just a collector's item, but I mean, still, it's cool. It's cool to have.
it's still fun to drive around. It's super out of place. My girlfriend, she hasn't Caitlin, she hasn't beaten the DLC yet, but she's watched me ride around on the motorcycle, and she's just like, it ruins the aesthetic of the game for her because it's so out of place. So
Yeah,
I get that.
I could see that. Um, I could see that for sure. Another thing that okay, so the dungeon thing, uh, was a complaint. The weapon thing was a complaint of mine. There's actually another
Hmm.
one that I had about Breath of the Wild. I don't know how this became a Breath of the Wild for me. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, it's fine.
I'm
It's no,
sorry,
it's fine.
everyone. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's one of my favorite games. How dare you?
I love Breath.
Leaving.
Despite what I'm saying, I really, really enjoy Breath of the Wild. It's a beautiful game. There's a lot to do in it. The story is great. It's ominous as fuck. It's great. However, the other thing that I really dislike is that beating the game is it must be the final thing you do because you literally can't continue, I guess. So
Well,
part of me was hoping, I don't know if maybe DLC changed this, but part of me was hoping that when I defeated Ganon, I would come back out and be back in the world and I'd see like his blight and his influence in the world like removed or starting to be removed and I could experience the world again but in a new light. And
I was hoping for the same thing.
yeah, and I mean maybe that's wishful thinking on my part. Part of me is okay with like the concept of, you beat the game, hurrah, that's it. But like games these days, it's not uncommon to like, go back into the world and re-explore once you've beaten it. So
Yeah.
that was something else on my list.
That was what I was really hoping for with the DLC when they had first announced DLC 2. Was I was hoping that it would be a continuation, like after you beat Ganon, like you said, and you can go explore the world with no blight, and maybe go and if you did the Terrytown side quests, um, to build the town, you could do more of those kinds of quests to rebuild the world. I think that would have been a really cool addition to start helping to rebuild Hyrule, and I think that'd be a really cool thing to do in Breath of the Wild 2 is have all these different little towns that you can find that are burnt out throughout the world in the first one. You could go to and start these little quests because there's that whole construction company, the brothers construction company. I can't remember what they're called now. Bolson Brothers. Um, but they could be like situated at each of these little towns. You can go up and talk to them, and you just bring in the materials, and you slowly start building up these towns as you're exploring the world and going to whatever dungeons or whatever they include in in the next game. So I there's stuff like that. I wish that they'd done in DLC too, but I really hope for in the next game.
Sure. Regardless, I will pick up the second game and I will play through it.
Oh,
And
same. Oh,
I
same.
I hope it's if it's just as good, it'll be a good game, and if it's better, all the merrier, really. So um, okay. Well, that kind of transitions us. That's kind of an easy transition to the next topic, which is basically your top three, top two, top 10, whatever you want. What are your top games of all time?
This list was really hard. I have my top one for sure, and that'll never change.
Oh,
But like the list going up to that, it's just there's so many games that I've loved over the years.
sure. Why don't you
Um,
kick us off with your whatever one you want to talk about?
let's start with like I mean, I'll start with my number one. The Zelda series is my number one go to series for games. I love every single one of those games. I think the only one I have not played is Spirit Tracks. Um,
Isn't that
for whatever reason.
is that like a Game Boy or DS game?
It's a DS one.
Okay, it sounds
It came out
vaguely familiar.
kind of around the same time as Phantom Hourglass, I think, maybe like a couple of years after that. But I wasn't the biggest fan of. Still like Phantom Hourglass, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the DS those DS Zelda ones because specifically Phantom Hourglass and a little I guess Spirit Tracks as well because they incorporate a lot of the touchscreen in those ones, and I wasn't a big fan of those gimmicks in those Zelda games. I like them in specific other games, the way that they implement like The World Ends With You, but for whatever reason, it just didn't sit well with me with Phantom Hourglass and the little that I tried of Spirit Tracks.
Was Phantom
Um,
Hourglass the game where you had to draw the route your ship took in between islands or something like that?
yeah,
I
it was
I
kind of a cool concept.
I think I remember playing that. I could not tell you anything other than that detail of that game, but I remember playing it and enjoying it.
And I think
Personally,
that you also had to like swipe on the screen to make Link slash at things too, which I was like, well, I don't really
yeah,
want to do this again. I just did this in Skyward Sword with motion controls. So
sure, sure. Okay. Well, other than Phantom Hourglass and
I mean,
the track game,
uh,
what are your favorite ones out of the series? Because all the
um,
Zeldas are really good.
it's for ranking the Zelda games. My favorite one is Majora's Mask. Um, it's got
That's a fan
the most,
favorite for sure.
oh yeah, it's got the most interesting story. Just makes you feel things that you don't want to feel. Um, and the mechanics in that game, I don't normally like being on a time limit, but it gives you so many options to manipulate time that I don't mind it so much. And I kind of like that extra bit of challenge in that game. You have more or less 3 days to complete a dungeon um, before the world ends, and then you have to reset again. And I figured out ways to finagle that, and I love going through and how everything is on a timer in that game. Everything is throughout those 3 days. Nothing changes unless you interact with it and change its course to go somewhere different throughout those 3 days. I like being able to manipulate events like that. I think that's really cool and a lot of fun. I wish more games would do that. I
Sure.
think some games have tried to implement that, just they're not quite there yet. I don't know
Doesn't
what
doesn't quite hit the same. Um,
exactly.
yeah, I think the best thing about Majora's Mask is not the time thing, but just the overall like theme and feel. It's definitely the darkest,
Oh yeah.
and that's really cool. For
I love getting
that's it
I'm
really.
sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, no, no. It goes both ways. I interrupt you on accident too. It's okay. Go on.
um I love getting into some of those theories about Majora's Mask. One of my favorites is like the Link is dead theory. I know I think like Nintendo has straight up been like, no, he's not dead. I don't know. But if you look at the game, he more or less throughout the different dungeons that he goes through and the different areas that he explores, he's going through the 5 stages of grief,
Yeah.
which I could pull up right now and actually talk about, but my computer's being a hot piece of crap, so I'm not going to do that right now. Um, but I like going into like the exploring the aspects of games like that, just like the psychological stuff. It's fun. It just makes you think. Um,
there's a YouTuber that gosh, I'm trying to blank on his name. He's quite popular where he like the game theorists, you know.
oh yeah,
Yeah, he did a video on Majora's Mask and talking about the stages of grief, and it kind of like put it in solidified that it was a good game for me when I watched that.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites for sure. That's my top Zelda game, and I think I'm not sure what I would list after that. Ocarina of Time's always been on top. Um, Breath of the Wild has kind of stolen a spot up on the top as well. Um,
What did you think of Twilight Princess?
oh, I love that game.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic. I like the aesthetic. Um, I would like some more Zelda games, future Zelda games, to maybe go down that road, which it's looking like that's what Breath of the Wild 2 might be doing, which I'm super stoked for. Um, I liked the. I'm not usually into the whole like transformation aspect. Like, I didn't like that in Sonic.
Okay.
That one Sonic Unleashed game, I hated that mechanic, but they did a really good job of that that transformation mechanic in Twilight Princess, especially in the HD version. They tweaked it in a way that you don't have to go into like a special menu to transform anymore. You could just push a button and you're right into wolf form. You didn't have to talk to Midna anymore or anything like that. And I liked the HD version because they they fixed things like that in the game that needed tweaking.
Sure.
Um,
I played the HD version, which was my first time playing it, and I actually streamed it. It was like a few years back, maybe three
I might
years
go
ago.
check that out.
I don't even know if it's on YouTube. It might be. But um, I thought it was a great Zelda game. Like once again that game did a decent job of feeling dark, I guess, which I don't know. I don't know how to word it. It's like games that are kind of meant for like young adults, or like adolescents. I don't know
Mhm.
the right term, but like young people in general, but have like a really dark twist to it that's like an adult theme on top of it. Kind of those are always been like really really cool games to me, so I like it a lot. Um, anyway,
I also really liked. I mean, we're just going through Zelda games now. I've
that
liked them all,
that's
but
fine.
Wind Waker is just. I want another game like that. That game is just so good. I love the open exploration of the ocean and being able to freely go to all the islands. I do feel like it could have used more islands, just because there are certain sets, just expanses of ocean where you're just kind of like, okay, I hope I get there soon. I'm getting a little tired. Let's take a break. So,
Too much
I think
water
that game,
review.
yes, that game deserves. I feel like that game deserves a sequel. And they could expand on that just like they did with Breath of the Wild. I mean, it would be so good.
I
And
hear
I really hope that Breath of the Wild 2 brings back some mechanics from these older Zelda games, like the hook shot and stuff like that. You know?
sure. Yeah, it did feel missing. It did feel like it was missing some of the core Zelda mechanics. Um, but I mean, it did bring a bunch of new ones, so whatever. Um, I was gonna say for Wind Waker, that game for me felt too open for like the water and like in between islands and stuff. And I'm pretty sure they did that originally because it was a technical like feat to have a bunch of area in a small like
Oh
preloaded
yeah,
area.
especially on the GameCube.
Being able to like get off an island and get on this like generic basic water and then like deload and reload a different island is like really helpful for like basically letting the GameCube run it essentially. Um, so, but being able to incorporate the story in there to fit the limitations was really cool. That was my complaint. I wasn't like at first the hugest of fans of the aesthetic, but I cannot deny that its aesthetic is like making it age very well. Whereas other games that are made in a similar time that don't have that, like, I don't know the correct term, but the aesthetic that Wind Waker has, a game made at the same time, like take a racing game like Need for Speed or something, and you
Mhm.
load that up and you play it. Um, it's not gonna look um, as iconic or as good. Back then you're like, oh, these graphics are great, and then you look at it now, you're like, I'm literally driving a box, and yeah. So anyway, that was just my kind of take on Wind Waker. It was a
Oh
it
yeah,
was a it was a good game, all things considered.
I think it has one of my favorite iterations of Ganondorf as well. Just
Yes,
seeing
yes.
old man Ganondorf like that, kind of just a
Hey,
little bit got
speak.
that dad bod going on.
Hey, I noticed that I like to talk about Breath of the Wild. The other thing I didn't like about Breath of the Wild was there was no like human Ganon like representation. It was just this like ominous like fart cloud in the sky,
Yeah, I
and
mean, they gave the story explanation for it. Like he gave up his human form to become that, basically giving up on human incarnation because he was just so, more or less, he's just so fucking pissed of losing all the time. He just gave up and became pure evil.
yeah,
um,
it
that's
still
the in-game explanation. It's still not that great of an explanation, to be fair.
it still doesn't hit the same though,
Yeah,
because having a there's something to be said about characters that are evil or bad that are human, because you as a person who's fighting that has to, like, I don't know, there's like this subconscious, at least this is how I feel, there's like maybe a subconscious like desire or uh I don't know, to try to sympathize or try to like understand, because ultimately, you could have been that, or they could have been you, or you could have had the same uh foundation, and something changed along the way, versus a straight up like, hey, I'm fighting like actual like evil, or I'm fighting a monster whose instinct is to literally just eat to survive, but to you perceive that as evil because it's killing all the
yeah.
humans or something. It's a different like take. I mean, anyway, I'm just rambling at this point,
Oh no, you're
but
fine. I mean, to go with that, to go back to that Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. Um, I'm really excited to see. I think they're going to be showing off more of the human aspect of this world's Ganondorf. Um, you saw the trailer, right?
I did. It's been a little
Yeah.
while. I think I
Um,
remember.
it's his corpse in this cave that they've found. It's got to be. It's a Gerudo corpse. It's got Gerudo symbols on it, and it's trapped underneath this weird like Sheikah hand carving thing, and it's like sucking energy out of his body. So
Oh,
I'm wondering if this is going to show a different side of Ganondorf this time, where he was. So for anybody who doesn't know, Ganondorf. We're going to get into Zelda stuff now. Zelda timeline crap. Ganondorf is more or less reincarnated as the only male Gerudo of the Gerudo tribe. Gerudos are an all female desert tribe, and every 100 years, a male is born to that tribe. Ganondorf sometimes gets brought into that reincarnation cycle of that one male Gerudo. And my theory going into this is before Breath of the Wild happened, he was actually trapped, or they found out that he was reincarnated before he became evil. And they trapped him and are sucking out his, or they're tried to suck out his demonic essence, more or less. What keeps reincarnating Ganondorf. I know I'm getting into some weird shit, but more or less what I'm getting at is Ganondorf has been trapped, and somebody's been sucking out his evil malice,
hmm.
and that's what was causing the calamity in the first place. And so we're seeing that in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, this corpse that's been trapped underground. Whether he was already evil, I have a feeling he wasn't evil beforehand. In this world, he wasn't evil yet, and they preemptively captured him and tried to suck out the evil from him, and that's how we got the calamity.
That
Anyway,
that's
that
definitely
was a long-winded bit,
that's
but
definitely a take that could be real. I don't know
mhm.
why, but when you were explaining that, all I could think of was every 100 years a male Gerudo is born, and I think to myself, okay, how are Gerudos being born at all?
Oh, I have an explanation for that if you want to know.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah,
It's
give it.
Gerudos. It's actually an in-game thing. Gerudo women go out and they go out and find boyfriends.
Oh, okay, okay. That actually.
They're not just like celibate or whatever. They're not just sitting around in the desert like I will not have sex with anyone. They go out and they find appropriate mates. But the weird thing about Gerudos is that they only give birth to females.
Okay, okay.
And
That makes way more sense. Okay. Well, if that's the case, maybe it's a coincidence. Every 100 years, they find just the right male mate that creates a male Gerudo. Thoughts?
I mean,
Possible, not
it's
impossible.
possible. We haven't really gone into that aspect of Gerudo breeding, so
Now we're
I don't
getting
know
to.
if Nintendo's gonna go into that too much.
I don't think I don't think that's a rabbit hole that Nintendo
it's
wants to actually
it
go down.
might raise that rating just a little bit too high over that T rating that Twilight Princess had. So a
Fair enough. Fair enough.
bit too far.
Good. Good.
Uh, yeah,
So okay. Well, I mean, going back, Zelda series in general is like your favorite. So
that's my top.
do you have other like game franchises you'd like to talk about that like are up there? Maybe not number
Um,
one, but up there.
yeah, I mean, I've always loved the Final Fantasy series. I haven't played all of the games, of course. I've played a few of them.
Hmm.
Seven, of course, being my favorite out of those. I think seven is if I'm not saying that like Final Fantasy series isn't my favorite, like is wouldn't be my like my second behind Zelda, I would say, but I would say Final Fantasy 7 is behind the Zelda series for me, like in tiers of my favorite to least favorite. Um I've played 7, 10, 12, 13, 14 with Jackie
Oh
on
yeah,
PS4. Um and
14's
then
great.
14's not bad. I've been having fun. And 15. 15 I played all the way through. That one's weird. 15's strange. Um, although I kind of enjoyed it. And then I started playing 9. I just have not finished it yet. That might be something I stream. We'll see if I can get my. I have it on PS4. If I can get my capture card soon, I'll probably start streaming that too. I would love to play some of the Final Fantasy games I've never played before.
Sure.
Um,
I heard 9 was not as popular, but like the
it's
people
got
that
a good following.
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of got like a I don't know, it's kind of got a cult following going on a little bit. It's like they love it, the people that do. But like otherwise, it's usually like slightly overshadowed by 7 and these other ones. Um,
Yeah.
so I could feel it. I played through Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy
Oh,
2 on
nice.
stream, and I actually have some of that up on YouTube myself.
I might check. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
that was fun. But they're definitely old school, very top down. Yeah, very old school style games for sure. Sorry, didn't mean to make it about me. I just
Oh no, no, you're fine.
you triggered a memory. It's like I played through the first couple, and I've like off and on played some Final Fantasies over time, but like those two are the most recent ones that I've played actually. And I have
Please
fit.
feel free to go off on tangents. By the way, I don't mind that at all.
I I also own 15 on PC. And
Nice.
I played like an hour or so, not maybe slightly longer. I don't actually recall, but I didn't get there very far. So that I want to, I just got like derailed essentially. So maybe that's something I'll stream one time at some point. But
Um,
and
I
16,
think.
I'm looking forward to
Oh
16
yeah, I'm
too.
looking forward to that too. I will probably have to get a PS5 for that. Damn it. Or is it coming out for PC and Xbox
I
as well?
I don't know. I really
I mean,
don't.
I would assume since they're all coming out for PC and Xbox now, so hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe. I guess also with the Final Fantasy series, I've also been a big fan. I think even more so of the Kingdom Hearts series.
Mm,
Um,
great games.
it's just something I've always loved. I love. the absolute batshit craziness of the story and how, as someone who's played it since the beginning, I well, sort of. I had to play it off of other friends' PS4s, not PS4s, PlayStation 2s and whatnot. But I love the story, even though it's so goddamn convoluted and doesn't make sense half the time. I still can make somewhat sense of it, and I love it. I still have issues with the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, but I still love the series. It's just a fun RPG, fun action adventure RPG.
I like how interconnected. Like it's like purpose. It's the reason why it was made was Disney was like, hey, like let's interconnect a bunch of stuff. I don't know if that's actually the reason,
It
but
was
they
it was like
they interconnected a bunch of Disney stuff, and I remember playing through number two, I think it was. And that was my first exposure, and it was God, what's the main character's name? Sora, I think.
Sora.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Sora. Where you're not playing as Sora, you're playing as the other guy.
Oh, Roxas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody's confused if you start with Kingdom Hearts 2.
yeah. That was my first exposure. And I just remember playing as that and getting to the point where you hit the actual like title screen. It's like Kingdom Hearts 2. It was like after like hours of gameplay, and I was like, "Bruh, that's the intro. What?" And it was crazy. I also remember like one of the fun parts for me was making the ships. You could like customize the.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember if that was a one or two because I also touched one
It's in
later.
both.
It's in both. Oh, okay, I thought
Mhm.
one of them was like you got to
Uh,
pick your ship, but they were
the second
pre-made.
one's more. Second, you can build your ship in both of them. The second one, I believe, is just more in depth.
Mm, okay. Well, anyway, other than that and like exploring some of the worlds, I never like beat any of them. But and you're right, the story is kind of convoluted, but I enjoyed it as a kid. I'm sure I might
Oh,
enjoy it still.
I played through all the games. Kingdom Hearts 1. It's just they're they did such a disservice by putting the sequel to Kingdom Hearts 1 on the Game Boy, because there's a game between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 1, and then there's, of course, 5 games between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. So they really, I feel like, did a disservice to anybody playing Kingdom Hearts 2 by doing that to them. Like, you have to play this Game Boy game if you want to understand anything that's going on in in the actual second game. So, but I've loved playing those games, and the story. I've grown to love the characters throughout the whole story. I'm excited to see what happens with the franchise going on. Um,
Is there any
I'm
like
just
is there any rumors or news for upcoming games?
not really. They just released Melody of Memory, which is a music game, and I guess it continues the story from three. I guess, even though it's only a music rhythm game. I'm still considering picking it up because for the story stuff.
Sure.
Um, but where they, I hope I don't spoil much for Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't know if you're going to play it anytime soon or
Uh,
anything.
Eh, not
Eh,
probably
it-
not,
wh-
but maybe one day.
what I'm excited for is it seems like at the end of the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, they showed a video that might potentially link the Final Fantasy worlds to Kingdom Hearts finally. So you'd actually go to visit maybe some of like Midgar or like
That'd be dope.
or Spira or wherever. Um, it's the character that they showed off at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 is the original. Well, I wouldn't say. I'm not going to say that. That's not right. This design is more or less a ripoff of Nomura's original idea for Final Fantasy 15, which was called Final Fantasy Versus 13. Um, More or less, Kingdom Hearts 3 ends with the opening of Final Fantasy Versus 13, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, those names are very quickly losing me.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Yep.
Wow.
More or less, Kingdom Hearts 3 ends with the original opening sequence for a game that never was released.
Yeah, okay, cool. More for fans to big brain theorize about.
It hurts my brain, and I understand some of it, most of it, and it's still. Anyway, Kingdom
Sure.
Hearts, I love it. It's one of my top series that I enjoy, right up there with Zelda, Final Fantasy. Um, yeah.
Cool. Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, they're kind of interconnected. It kind of makes sense. Um, then you got the Zelda series. Uh, got any others you want to talk about that
I
you
mean,
really really
there's not
like?
a whole. No, those are like three like big series I like. I mean, the games that I've played over the years that I've always loved, I can just list off. Like, I mean, Destiny, I've just started getting into in the last few years, and I love the story for that. It's a great sci-fi adventure, and
I didn't.
I love that like the three actors from Firefly have been in this game. One of them still is in the game, so it's awesome.
Wow, I didn't know that detail. Uh,
Um,
I played.
yeah, Nathan. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just gonna continue on saying Destiny 2. I played a little bit with Nick, and I probably have a total of like 2 solid, maybe 3 solid weeks of like full gameplay. But I agree with the sci-fi like lore. That's the thing that keeps me coming back when I do come back. Is the lore's freaking fantastic, honestly. Um. Anyway, just my take.
I'm glad you got a chance to go through like the Red War and stuff before all of that
Yeah, I played
had
through
been
all the
removed.
campaigns like literally the
So,
week before it got removed.
oh man, what was I saying? Destiny 2.
The
No, it reminds me a lot of my days playing World of Warcraft because we all play together now, and it reminds me of those days of going in and doing raids. You know, planning out the night, doing a raid, and having fun with my friends on an online game. So it's just it's very reminiscent of those days. And I miss those days. I miss playing WoW with some of my old buddies. I've luckily reconnected with some of them um, through streaming, through getting this computer from some of our awesome friends Insomnis Clava. Really helped me out um, and hooked me up with with an awesome PC.
Oh,
Um,
really?
uh,
That's cool. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
I'm just going to throw a shout out to them right now because I wouldn't be able to be doing any of this without the two of them. Jackie and Matt, thank you guys so much for again. I owe you guys a lot um, for getting me this PC and allowing me to start doing the things that I really want to do, which is streaming and doing hopefully some other stuff, audio stuff with that later on. Um,
Cool.
anyway, sorry that was a little bit of a tangent.
No, 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 no. That's all good. It's all good.
Um,
I wasn't aware they gifted you that or like set you up, so that's cool. Good for them.
that was it was a really big surprise, especially just this year has been a kind of a shit show. So
Yeah.
it was just a really big help. And again, I'm super thankful to you guys. Again, if you're watching, I know you will be watching it probably eventually. Thank you again. I appreciate you both of you. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, it just
And
playing Destiny with you guys
I'm
is
gonna I'm
reminiscent.
I'm gonna
Oh,
cut
go ahead.
I'm gonna cut out specifically the thank yous. I'm kidding.
That's
I'm just being a I'm
oh,
I'm being a troll. I'm being a
what
troll.
a dick.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I was just going back to saying that, like I was saying, playing Destiny 2 with you guys and with our group and playing games, it's reminiscent of those times I had in World of Warcraft, and which was some of the most fun times I've ever had playing video games. I probably won't ever go back to World of Warcraft, unfortunately, just because I don't want to pay the $15 a month, and
I
I just
was
feel like it's kind of
I was about to ask what kind of kicked you off of the World of Warcraft type. Is it
it,
the friends went away? Was it the cost? Was it a culmination of different factors?
it was a mix of all of that. Really, it was I wasn't playing as much because our group wasn't playing as much anymore. It was a money factor. I just wasn't wanting to spend the $15 a month on that when I can spend $15 a month on like Netflix or something else,
Yeah.
or split that with like Hulu and some other things. You know,
Hmm.
I'd rather play. And also, it just the way that it's evolved. It's not quite the same game that it was, and I really enjoyed playing that game during Cataclysm, and that's the last really Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria was the last time I played that game, and I think that was probably the peak. That's where that game peaked. And now it's just I feel like it's just kind of stagnating. I don't know. I don't play the game anymore. I can't really give a good judgment on it just since I've been out of the loop for a while.
Well, you're aware that Shadowlands new expansion just came out, right?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm not sure how it's going. I know one of my buddies, Jeremy, who's been playing 7 Days to Die with me. He's still super into WoW, and I think he's been enjoying it. I haven't gotten to ask him about it um, yet. So
I watch
oh,
a streamer occasionally named Asmongold. He's like the biggest WoW guy, I guess. He's like the face of Twitch, basically. Um, and I don't even play WoW, but I know a little bit about it just through watching him. He's one of those people that you can watch and listen to, and even though he's jokingly kind of a troll and kind of maybe not a troll, kind of like he's the like embodiment of like a gross like basement dweller guy, but he owns it. You know,
Okay.
he kind of it's like, yeah, I'm this, and whatever. But the thing I like about him is when it's time to talk about a topic, he like actually articulates his point of view very, very, very well and talks through it and like analyzes it. And he's a really good speaker. That's the thing that draws me into it. But all that to say, the little I know about WoW is through him. And the reason why I know about Shadowlands is because he's currently going through it, and leading up to it, everyone's like, I guess the WoW community is super freaked out about Shadowlands because the expansion prior to Shadowlands was like Battle for Azeroth, I think, BFA, and
Yeah.
the community was in general not happy with it. So they're scared Shadowlands is gonna be a repeat, basically. But it just came out. They're playing it. I haven't actually watched his content since it came out, so I don't know if he's enjoying it. But I'm curious. I'm curious to. I don't know. It's not. Even if I'm not a WoW player, just knowing that they're happy as a community is a good
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Is a good thing.
It,
So
it's still they're still into it. I'm happy that the game is still going and people are still enjoying it. It's just that it's not my cup of tea anymore, unfortunately.
sure.
And just like games like Final Fantasy 14 have more appeal to me now. Just in that I don't have to have multiple characters. I can have my one character that is all the classes at any point as long as I leveled up.
Yep.
So um, that's just I guess that's more of just a ease of access kind of a thing than anything else. But
Sure. No,
um,
I agree. I grew up. I talked about this briefly on with Nick, but like for me, one of the games I grew up with was RuneScape. It's an MMO as well. The graphics may not have been as nice as World of Warcraft's, but it, in the same vein as Final Fantasy 14, you had one character and you could level up anything at basically any time, and it continued to open up the world as you leveled up those things in every direction, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So when I considered playing WoW and I learned that you were tied to one class, and you know, questing is as simple as go kill 3 wolves, and these things, even though it looked better, the gameplay was so much less interesting that I could never personally get into it. Uh, but it's a different take if you're young and you're playing it as a kid, and you
oh
enjoy
yeah.
you enjoy the process, you grow attached to it, much like he has. So, um,
I mean, it was my first real big like RPG experience, like MMO RPG experience. So it was a good way to get into those kinds of games, and I'm still glad I played it. It was so a lot of fun.
sure, sure. Okay, dokie. So let's see. I guess we can move on to the next point.
Sure.
Just as a uh, to let you know, we're about an hour and 20 minutes into the video.
Oh,
Um,
jeez. Okay.
for recording, yeah.
All
And
right.
episode one was, if I recall, about an hour and a half. I'm not
Okay.
saying
Cool.
I'm not saying we should match it, but just
Yeah.
we're good on time. So
Okay, for sure.
if it ends now or in 40 minutes,
I've
whatever.
got I've got like another 30 minutes before we get on call with family and whatnot. So it's all good. I got some time.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, so back to it. Last little point that would be nice to talk about is um, what games that currently exist do you think could do with a small tweak in design or gameplay or
Ugh.
just literally anything to propel them from being just another game to something that belongs on your top games of all time?
I've listed out a couple like 3 games kind of ranging from like this game like is are pretty good. It needs a few things. This game is also pretty good, but this game is pretty bad and this is what I need fixed now because it has potential to be really good. So, I'm going to start with Among Us is one of my favorite games right now.
Okay.
And I feel like and their team and I'm going to use them as an example of a team that's doing a really good job at keeping the game updated, and they're starting to roll out more updates and keep their community involved, especially now that they know that their game is blown up so
Sure.
as much as it has.
When
But
you
like just some,
when you have a random interval of like millions of dollars all of a sudden hitting your front door, like
oh yeah.
you're kind of obligated.
So and some, I mean, but not a lot of people don't feel that obligation. They see, oh, now I've got the money. Doesn't need to be fixed. Just leave it be.
Yeah,
And they won't put any more love into that project that they made. So I'm really glad to see that this development team is going to take the time to is taking the time to upgrade and make their game the best game that they can possibly make it. I'm really glad that they decided to scrap that idea of making a sequel and just focus on the original game. I
I
think that
agree.
was probably the best choice they could have made, and that's going to save them a lot of money in the meantime too. Um, but with Among Us, I'd say that tweaking wise, we could do with its own, and they're working on this. I know they're getting accounts in there so that people can start reporting like hackers and whatnot. But like an in-game voice chat for the meetings would be a fantastic little addition to that game. So that way people aren't having to worry
Manually.
about Discord and joining weird Discords that they're not comfortable joining. I know some people are not comfortable doing that.
Yep.
Me being one of them. Um, little tweaks like that to Among Us. There's some game modes that some streamers I've been watching have been playing. I would love to see those game modes maybe implemented into there, like the hide and seek mode, or one of them is a straight up the imposter straight up announces who they are at the beginning, and everybody has to go run and do their tasks while getting chased by this guy. It's kind of like in Silence, but in Among Us. Um,
It's like tag
yeah.
or
So like,
or infected
mhm,
from Call of Duty or something.
yeah. And what was cool is they modded it in a way that it had a proximity voice chat with it as well. So you could just start running up and try and distract the imposter over in a different corner from everybody else who's doing tasks up in the top left corner. Anyway, it was a cool little thing. It was more or less like in Silence in Among Us. So I feel like a little tab of just like extra game modes for Among Us would be awesome. Um, that's my example of a game that just little tweaks like that could be super awesome and get me back into that game a little bit more and more people back into that game. My next game on the list would be Genshin Impact. Um, it's a fun game. Genshin did a really good job at copying Breath of the Wild's exploration and stuff like that. I was really looking forward to it because of the co-op um, in that game. Uh, because you can fully explore a world the size of Breath of the Wild with your friends. And
Right.
that's something I've been wanting to do, like with my girlfriend, for the longest time because we both love Breath of the Wild. And I keep saying, if we had a game that was Breath of the Wild, but two players, where one of us could go and do like a story quest over here, while one of us does a side quest over here, and we come together for a story quest over here, that would be really cool. So we're doing stuff in the world together to progress the story, but we're not missing anything, you know.
So
I was hoping that.
that's
Go
what
ahead.
Genshin Impact does well.
I was hoping that Genshin Impact would do that. Is what
Oh,
I'm actually getting at. Genshin Impact does not quite do the co-op the way I would like it to. You're very limited on the way co-op works. You can, when you're playing single player, you can do everything normally. When you're in co-op, you and you're visiting someone's world, you can't open chests, you can't activate quests, you can't go to specific shops, you can't upgrade your character in certain ways. There's a lot of limitations that kind of take away from that co-op aspect of that game, and that's what I feel like a lot of us were hoping for, and we didn't get, and that's why a lot of us aren't playing it anymore.
it
It's
sounds
because we were hoping for a really fun co-op game to play together.
it sounds like the world is tied to a player rather than the players being tied to the world, which is
It
kind of
is.
what standard MMOs do. Is you have the world instance and you as a player pop in and pop out as needed. Whereas with this, it's uh yeah, you have to have the
and
player. So
and I feel like there's, and I get it and I don't get it at the same time, because I feel like you should be able to have a chest that's there in the world. If you, a player, if you're in your instance world, have not gotten it yet, you should still be able to get it. And if you're the person that you've been playing in, they're more worried about people duplicating chests, is what I'm trying to get at, and opening the same twest chest twice, so to double your amount of loot gained. So I get what they're trying to do, but I feel like there's ways to implement co-op better, and
Yeah.
that those limitations aren't there. I feel like we've gotten to that point. We're in that future where we can get past those limitations. I feel like, and I feel like it's just a programming thing that they didn't think to fix early on. So
Yeah.
again, I'm not a game developer, so I
It
can't
might
really give
it
full
might be
input on that.
it could be by design. Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then besides that, that's the one thing with Genshin I really wish they could tweak with. And then the last game is a game that I was really looking forward to. It's another Square Enix game, and it really just kind of flopped. Avengers,
Avengers. Didn't
Marvel's Avengers.
didn't that just come out like
It
soup?
literally just came out like a couple months ago, like a month ago. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard they're still like recovering from losses. They're like,
they haven't made it back any of like all their money from producing the game yet.
yeah,
Um, it was it's a good. I enjoyed the story for the game. I enjoyed the single player mode. It's just the multiplayer, and there's nothing to do after you've beat the story. There's nothing to do. It's kind of boring, and you can level up your character as much as you can. I love the gameplay. I love the fighting and stuff. Um, I love playing as Thor. He was fun. He was a mix of long range and close combat because you can throw that hammer pretty far at pretty much whoever you want, and then you can go and start just fist fighting people, and then bring it back to you whenever you want, and it'll just smack into people on the way back to you. It's amazing,
sure.
and he can fly, and he can fucking fly. So
Who does
he
who
was a
doesn't
lot
like
of fun
that?
to play as. Exactly. Um, it's just that the story it just kind of ended. It doesn't. It You fight the big bad, and they kind of set it up like they kind of hint at Infinity Stones and whatnot. It's just they didn't do a good job at the ending of the game of the story. They didn't do a good job implementing multiplayer after the in the post game, and there's it felt very rushed for a game from Square Enix. Um,
I wasn't aware that Square Enix were the ones that made the game.
mhm.
I had thought it was like a I don't know something else, but I also haven't been keeping super close up to date. So with that game
um,
specifically,
I was also really hoping I was going to connect more with Spider-Man, the Spider-Man PS4 Spider-Man,
hmm
because that game was it was so good. It's the best Spider-Man game we've got to date. It's the best superhero game we've got to date, in my opinion. Besides like the Arkham series. Um, but I was really hoping that they were going to connect the stories, and that like the Avengers Tower that you saw in New York in Spider-Man was going to be the same one that like it's the same Avengers, but it's a totally different universe, unfortunately. And I was really hoping that they were going to combine it into like a Marvel gaming universe, like they had the MCU. I was really hoping that this was like the introduction for the MGU, which it apparently is not because this game is tanking so bad.
dang, that's
Uh,
kind of sad to hear because the Marvel movies are great.
oh, they're fantastic,
Yeah, the
and I
MC
mean,
is great.
I'm not sure how much more of the Marvel movies I'm going to watch after Endgame. To be fair, I'm going to definitely see Doctor Strange, but I've kind of started to fall out of. I'm kind of happy with where it ended. So we'll see how they go with the movies and stuff. I'm excited to see what they do. It's just really disappointment that the Avengers game, just didn't quite hit the mark.
Mm.
It was almost there. It was they were on the verge of greatness.
Oh man, I'm sorry for your loss. I don't really have a huge opinion of it myself, just because I didn't, like I said, I didn't really have huge prior interests. But um, yeah, it sucks to hear that fans of I don't know. It feels like it's kind of a common problem. There's like
it's
lots of big companies make lots of games, and a lot of them miss the mark. And
it's the same issue that the EA had with Anthem. If
mm,
you saw that
mhm, mm,
deal, I'm looking forward to that to seeing what they do with Anthem. Like I'm hoping they do a big turnaround like Destiny did, but
like
or I'm hoping for like a No Man's Sky
mm,
esque turnaround for some of these games. But I don't know. I feel like they just kind of throw money at these things now, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, well,
on to next. Yeah.
yep. So it's unfortunate, but
Okay.
those
Well,
are the three games that stood out to me the most that really could use some tweaking
fair enough. Fair enough.
right off the top of my head.
Cool. Okay, so I mean that's basically all the topics that I have written down for us to talk, and we're about a hour and a half in, so it's probably a good time to call it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
do you want to do any like final goodbyes, outros, or like
Um,
say, like please follow me here and there? You want to? What?
I mean, I
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, thank you, Blake, for hosting and for this fun conversation. I enjoyed this a lot, and I'm looking forward to more of your podcasts. Shout out to more of your podcasts. I'm super stoked for that. I think that'd be great to get more people involved in talking. I mean, I think it's gonna be a lot of
Sure.
fun.
I'm just trying to kick it off. It doesn't have to be my podcast.
Oh yeah,
It's a thing to get started and get the wheels rolling. So maybe you and Nick or any combination of people can do it in the future. So
oh exactly.
yeah.
So I just think it's a great starting point for everyone. So this is fantastic. Thank you for doing this first of all.
Yeah.
Um, and then I mean, a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great holiday so far, and I hope you all are going to be enjoying some great food. Um, and
I don't know if anyone will see this on Thanksgiving Day, but if
I
they
hope
do,
you enjoyed. Yeah, that's it's not going to post today, but I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I hope you're having good holidays. I hope you have a good Christmas and whatnot, or whatever you celebrate at the end of the year. Um, and if you're looking for fun stuff to watch, make sure to come check out Zale1521 1521 on Twitch. I stream lots of fun, random stuff that I've never played before and stuff that I have played before that I love with a twist. I'm hopefully trying to do more fun stuff with my friends like Blake here and Nick, Jackie, all the guys I play with, my old college buddies all the time. So I'm hopefully bring them in on some of the stuff too. Um, um,
do you have any other socials other than Twitch? Do you have like a Twitter or a
I
YouTube
have
or
I have my Twitter and YouTube as well. Twitter and YouTube the same exact name, Zale1521. I'm trying to keep that
consistent?
straight across the board,
Yeah,
so as simple as possible. I have a Facebook that I'm making. I made it, but I'm don't not comfortable posting it just yet because
it's not ready yet.
it's not ready yet. It's
Fair,
not ready yet, and I'm not ready to start posting stuff on that yet. I'm not that big yet. Um,
fair.
and then I'm gonna throw out a small little shout out, a channel that's gonna be starting up soon. My girlfriend's starting, Caitlin. She is going to be. It's called What Kind of Bean. That's her screen name, and
I don't
she's
know
going to
why,
be
but
doing.
that makes me so happy. That's a great name.
Well,
So,
her nickname is Bean.
okay,
So
okay,
if you ever talk with her like on Twitch or whatever, or chat, you feel free to call her Bean or Caitlin. She doesn't mind.
okay, okay.
Um, but her channel is going to it's called What Kind of Bean, and she is going to be doing movie reactions. Um, not streaming specifically the movie because we can't do that on Twitch.
Right,
You can with there's a watch party feature with Amazon. Um, if you have your Amazon Prime account connected to Twitch, you can do a watch party of Amazon Prime stuff. So she's going to do reactions to movies that she can find on Amazon that she's never seen before, and she's also going to do just chatting sections of where she's got reactions to movies as well that she can't stream, but she'll leave like a little timer at the bottom, the logo of the movie, and where exactly she's at in the movie, so you can catch up yourself to
right.
see her reactions to those things. And she also wants to do some reading aloud. So that's going to be
That
What Kind of Bean for reading aloud and for movie reactions.
those all sound like really unique ideas. Actually, I'm into it. I'll check her out myself.
For sure.
I'm just now learning about it, so that's cool.
I'm just now sharing it too. I've only shared it with you and my buddies last night because we just made the channel last night, and I'm going to help her with that a little bit more today.
Cool.
So I'm really looking forward to getting her set up with that. I'm really stoked to see her
Nice.
do some of that stuff.
Very good. Very good.
Um, And yeah, just shout out to all my friends. Thank you again, Matt and Jackie for this amazing PC that gave me this opportunity to do all this fun stuff. And I love you, my mom. If you're watching this, I love you. I hope you're having a good day. Same with my sister. And that's it. That's all. That's all I want to
Shout
say.
shout out to the family. That's so out of left field, in my opinion. No, it's great. It's
It's
great. It's
just
wholesome. It's
never know
great.
who's gonna watch.
Cool. Well, I probably would tack on the Insomnes Clava
Oh
mention.
yes.
I'm gonna, for those of you watching, listening, underneath the YouTube video, I will link his socials as well as the Discord link, so you can come on join because the Discord's intended for not just us, but everyone who wants to
For
join.
everyone.
Yeah,
We're happy to have anybody join and play with us, talk with us. It's just a good time.
sure,
So
nice.
come and check it out.
And then likewise for me, I have a Twitch, a Facebook, a Twitter, a YouTube. Obviously, you're watching this on YouTube. Um, with Azorion, that's the same tag everywhere. Just go to the site /Azorion and you can find me. So I try to stream and give content here and there and as well. So give me a follow too. If you like the video and if you want to, you can leave a comment and we'll try to converse with you. Um, yeah, so it's all a good time. Thanks for joining us along the way.
Yeah.
Should be good. So, okay. Peace, guys. Till next time.